Well, hello again, everybody. Welcome back into the Keep Boone Healthy Facebook page. Today is Wednesday, the 14th of April. We are moving right along through the spring. And as we talked about at the onset of this whole Keep Boone Healthy phenomenon, we intend to utilize this channel moving forward, post-pandemic, if we can ever get there, to continue to update you on things that impact our community's overall wellness. That can be from a health perspective, an economic vitality perspective, or really just keeping us moving in the right direction in terms of community opportunities that can help once again make this the place that we know and love to be a stronger one as we think about future generations. And today's topic absolutely hits the bullseye in all of those categories. We are pleased to be joined today by Crystal Kelly from the Children's Council, no stranger to chamber programming, and Tasha Fuller with AppHealthCare, lead nurse for Family Connects. And that's the subject of today, talking about all of the ways that we are nurturing the youngest of the young members of our community and helping set them up in those early days and early years into being great contributors to this community, as we all know can happen. So Crystal, thank you for agreeing to come on and talk to us about some new developments with Family Connects. If you could just kind of start out with first a general overview about what this program is and what makes it so unique to Watauga County to have a resource like this.
Absolutely, and thanks for having us. So over the past couple of years, as you know, the community has been doing some planning around what we really could envision for Watauga County families. And one of those goals was to have a universal home visiting program that was offered to every family beginning at birth, because we know that having children, having a baby is hard, it's uncharted territory, and it really doesn't matter your circumstance. So over the course of the past 2 years, we had come into contact with an amazing program called Family Connects. It's out of Duke. And this program provides a nurse home visitor during the first 3 months postpartum. So after you have a baby, sometime in that first 3 months, who can really just answer any questions you may have. It could be that they're helping you with breastfeeding or checking on, your blood pressure, just somebody who's there to really be a support after the birth of a baby. As a result of that, sort of at the same time, the state of North Carolina has been looking at how can they support families in a better way. And a needs assessment was done. And I think the statistic was something like only 1% of families are receiving this level of support. And, you and I have talked about before how this may be really unique to our area, but in other countries, it's just integrated into their healthcare system where families are supported when they have a baby, right after all the way through. And so, Watauga County wanted to kind of do something a little different and get ourselves going with that. At the same time, North Carolina received federal funds through the Preschool Development Grant to expand pilot programs across our state. And so we were one of 3 counties selected to not only continue our work in Watauga, but expand it into Ashe and Avery County as well.
Family Connects is one piece of a larger goal to make sure that families and children are supported from zero all the way to kindergarten, where other opportunities, for education help kick in, new support structures and things like that. You've been working so hard at system building. How do you feel like Family Connects plugs into what that ultimate pathway looks like of supporting people from zero all the way to they graduate high school and move on into their educational pursuits after that?
Right. So the Children's Council has definitely been leading those efforts, but it's alongside many community partners, including the health department, the chamber, the school system, really looking at what's a comprehensive approach to supporting children and families. And so the Family Connects program sort of serves as that foundation, because if we were able to connect with every family beginning at birth, then we could navigate and help them find the resources that they may need before the bottom falls out, right? So if you had the roadmap from the beginning, it's just an easier thing to find what you need along the way. Some other things that we're working on as a larger group, and the stakeholder group is called Elevate Watauga, because it's not just the work of the Children's Council, it's many other people that are coming along, agencies, organizations, to really look at what is possible for this county. And we know that childcare is a huge issue as well. And so building out stronger childcare programs, really addressing the quality right now and making sure that our early childhood teachers are paid a living wage, that they have the education and supports that they need to provide nurturing relationships for children. And then, of course, down the line, really looking at the accessibility of childcare. We know we don't have enough, affordability of childcare, but Family Connects, it serves as that foundational piece that all families, it doesn't matter your background at all. It's not dependent on any kind of eligibility requirements other than you're a resident here and you had a baby. And so if you check those boxes, then you can have this support. We want to make it so that it's just, it's part of the culture of living here, that you are born into a compassionate, supportive community.
Tasha, your work as being the lead nurse on the home visiting side, I know that in conversations about Family Connects and transitioning to that a few years ago, it was very important to have a registered nurse, somebody with a medical background, being one of the folks that is making those home visits. So from that standpoint, with your background, what does the home visit look like, and what are you as a trained medical professional able to support with even more so because of, again, your background and knowing that you're dealing with folks in very oftentimes days, maybe even at the very max of it, a week or two after a child has been born?
Yeah, so what the visit looks like, I'll fill you in that right now we're doing telehealth, which means that we are typically in a Zoom meeting. I'm in a Zoom meeting with the mother and usually sometimes her partner, the father of the baby, or usually it's the mom alone and the baby's there with her. In the past and in the future when things change, we will be doing more home visits again, where we actually come to the house to do the visit. Right now, the option is by phone or on Zoom, and most women opt to do Zoom. And so with that visit, I'm meeting with them to make sure, number one, that they feel supported and that they know about resources in our community. And I refer them out to places that other agencies and community supports if they need that. So in a one-on-one visit in the home, I would actually be doing vital signs, blood pressure, heart rate. I would be doing baby weight checks, measurement of the baby, and check in on incisions or anything the mom might have. But right now, that is a part we're not doing, we're not capable to do over the computer or over the phone. But if they're telling me things about if they have if they had gestational diabetes, or they had preeclampsia, if they have other types of health concerns, history of other medical conditions, we're talking about those things. And I'm charting all of those things to know what's going on in their life so that they can have the best support possible. I want to make sure they have primary care provider in place. I want to make sure that they are going to see their pediatrician, that all of their appointments are already scheduled or already completed, at least the first one for the baby. I'm making sure that the mom is also scheduled for her visit with her OBGYN or midwife to do follow-up care at 6 weeks or sooner if needed. And also making sure she has a primary care provider so that once she leaves the childbearing age, or once she decides to stop going to her provider like Harmony, that she has somewhere she can go and she's not going to the ER, that she actually has support and understands how important that is for the long term of her health and her family's health. So that is what the visit looks like. We spend about an hour to an hour and a half in that visit, and we can split it up into two if it's a little overbearing or overwhelming. That never happens. It usually flies by, and the family member, the mom, has a lot of questions most typically, and I ask a lot of questions and really offer a space for them to get to tell their birth story, to get to talk about emotionally how they're doing and feeling, and to provide any support that I can by listening, but also by answering any questions. And most moms have a lot of questions. So what happens is we actually reach out about 1 week postpartum to schedule the visit, and then the visit happens at 3 weeks. most ideally. We see people up to 3 months after the baby's born. That's our cutoff. And we typically do the one visit and sometimes a follow-up visit if needed, or follow-up calls to check in and see how things are going. There are people who need a lot of extra support. And I work with a lot of different agencies to make sure those women are getting plugged into the areas where they have a need for extra support.
It's certainly such an overwhelming time for a family to go through, and for new mothers to go through, to have somebody that can come in and remind you or inform you of the things you just don't know yet, because everything is just so new and so overwhelming. I know that that's got to be a valuable resource. And Tasha, I would imagine also that given the pandemic nature and the lack of ability for the family unit to come in and be maybe that support person, whether it's a parent or a grandparent or family friend, some of those folks that sometimes, quite honestly, you can't get to leave the house. Without that, I would imagine that your services and your ability just to talk and talk through some of those things has been even more beneficial over this last year.
Yeah, I've definitely seen that. I've done this work for 4 years now. I was with the Children's Council before this with a very similar program modeled after Family Connects called Nurture Beginnings. And what I'm seeing now that's different from before is that, yes, women are really isolated because they don't have the grandparents or their parents or sisters or even community and friends coming in to visit and to offer support. And so with that, they're feeling more anxiety, more depression, more just worry and concern, and not feeling as supported, especially women who maybe are breastfeeding and needing help from other women who have breastfed before or have knowledge of breastfeeding. And these women, really, I can tell that these women enjoy the conversation. They feel like they've been heard, and validated and affirmed. Because the questions that these women have and what we're talking about is childcare options and feeding, like breastfeeding or formula, pumping. We're talking about material supports as well. Do you have car seats? Do you have a crib? Do you have a smoke detector and carbon monoxide detector in the home? Safe sleep conversations, making sure that they have are meeting developmental milestones, the babies. And I can talk and answer all these questions. And those have always been the big questions for new moms as they're learning new stuff. But now that added part is just feeling like, am I doing this right? Because they don't have an elder or somebody around as frequently to tell them and help them and support them as they're learning to be a parent.
Sure. Well, and I know we've talked, especially with AppHealthCare, over a variety of different subjects in the last year about the importance and awareness of mental health and being able to identify periods of time where you do need support. And I'm curious to get both of your takes on this. And Tasha, we can start with you. Just again, being able to provide someone that kind of support, where even if it's just something as simple as checking off the things that are on your mind that you can relieve anxiety about, or having a trusted person to be able to be open and honest with if you do have questions that might at times feel like I should know this, but I need somebody that I can trust to be able to have those conversations. Have you seen much of the needle move in the right direction in terms of a program like Family Connects really answering some of those core questions that, if left festering, could develop into bigger mental health hurdles as time moves on?
Yeah, definitely. I feel that for certain. Anxiety is on the rise. It's always been it's rising every year across all ages. And with the pandemic, it's even increased more. And I think that women sometimes are worried about what they're experiencing and feeling. And sometimes it's hard to be honest about it. But when you're asked the questions, we actually do a screener, and it's 10 questions asking about their mood and about their, happiness level and just how they're feeling. And it asks a lot of questions about anxiety as well. And when you open that up and normalize it a little bit and talk to them about how a lot of women are feeling this and a lot of people are feeling this way, they feel validated, and it helps them to then realize, well, this is kind of normal. And then I can then give them some tools or tell them ways that they can manage those feelings. And we have some great support systems here. We have a lot of people who, therapists who are certified in perinatal mental health. And so that's really helpful. I have a list that I can give them of those therapists. There's also a group that's at the Children's Council called Moms for Moms, and it's a parenting support group for specifically moms with new babies. And it's a mother-led group. And some people, get really scared, like, oh, I might have to go on medication, but I just educate them about all these different options. And we know that talking to people and actually getting things out can be as effective as medication in some cases. And it helps women to know that, oh, I have a voice and I can talk to someone about that. And there are people out there like the Children's Council and Family Connects who I can reach out to and find support if I need help. So yeah, I think that's really helpful.
Well, and Crystal, this seems to be yet another tool that again plays into that holistic approach that the Children's Council's taken for years at being supportive from start all the way to establishing someone with, whether that's pre-K, getting into school, the other developmental milestones that we all see. I guess a quick aside to that, where you mentioned expansion into other counties. What are the needs there in some of those areas? Can you help paint the picture of what some of the Appalachia culture issues are that you have to deal with and getting out to provide such a service, and what the impact of those extra dollars may mean in a more rural setting where we can expand resources that typically might not be as readily available here?
Right. Well, that is why the state chose to do this expansion project with a specific focus on rural counties, because they tend to be so under-resourced in what they can provide due to funding limitations most of the time. And so, we already have a pre-existing relationship with Ashe and Avery counties because we have the teen parenting program that operates in both of those counties as well. So that program is specifically for teen parents, pregnant and parenting, to do really comprehensive wraparound care for those moms and babies and dads. And so we'll just be expanding it even more. And those counties were chosen because both are feeders into Watauga Medical Center. There is a birthing hospital in Ashe County called Ashe Memorial that we will be hopefully developing a relationship with. But the majority of families in both counties give birth at Watauga Medical Center. And so it's just a natural partnership really with the health department and the hospital. As far as barriers, those counties are much more rural than Watauga, because Watauga does have the Appalachian State University here. It creates a different community than what you see in those neighboring counties. There are services available in those counties. There are home visiting programs. However, they're not reaching people right at the beginning. And so you may not know about the resources that are available to you until something has gone wrong. And so what we want to do is really create, something that Tasha said, just this normalcy around that everybody needs support. When you were talking, Tasha, it reminded me of the statistic that I think it's close to 50% of new moms experience what's considered the baby blues. And 10 to 20% are experiencing more severe postpartum depression. It's like the highest, that's higher than most other complications that you experience during pregnancy. And yet it's not talked about. And I think when moms can understand that this is a huge transition in your life, and dads experience it as well, that requires support. Relationships are the context of how people heal and how people thrive. And whether that's a mother-child relationship or, feeling like you are not alone really does go a long way. In the other surrounding counties, I think some other barriers we see are barriers for transportation. We're going to need to address a hurdle of broadband and not having access to this type of technology. So really being able to contact families through phone. And we anticipate that when it's safe to do so, we will be back in the homes to be able to reach some of these more rural families that may not have access to technology.
it is very exciting to hear about resources like this and what the overall end goal of getting these things up and running to their full capacity can mean for families here. And Crystal, I know that you've mentioned this a time or two before, and I certainly agree that this is one of the areas that Watauga County can separate itself in terms of having that expectation of nurturing families wherever they are and making that more the norm rather than the exception. That's one of the things that this county has continued to improve in, and we hope to see further improvement in that. Just a real quick kind of wrap up here. I know that we have put some links in the information right below the video about access to Family Connects, the specific website there. Can you give us any other resources that might be helpful for people that want to know more about the Children's Council, about Elevate Watauga, or any of the other programs that both agencies work on together?
Absolutely. The Children's Council is pretty much the service provider to go to if you have a young child, and we can help connect you to any other resources you may need. As you've already mentioned, we're sort of the hub for childcare and for NC pre-K and for any type of early childhood experiences. In addition to that, we have many parenting groups, support groups, a diaper bank, the Dolly Parton Imagination Library. There's more programs than I could name. So you can go to our website to learn more about that. And then the Elevate Watauga initiative is definitely something awesome. You can look at our website and really see what the county priorities are for prenatal to 3. We have, as I said earlier, worked for years now on a community planning project to really determine, what would it look like if all families were really supported? And what would that comprehensive system really look like? And so we have those priorities determined, and we are now raising funds for that to occur, not only through private businesses that want to come on and invest in this new infrastructure and development of programming, but also through public investment, and really working with our county leaders and our state leaders to elevate early childhood as a really important priority, not only because it's the right thing to do for children and families, but it's the right thing to do for economic development. It brings families to the area. It sets the stage for children to do better in school and then, better in life. And it's really a win-win for all. It's much, much less expensive than the remediation that we have to do later when people don't have the supports that they need. We know that, we live in a culture that is very reactive and not so much investing in prevention. And I think we can see the outcomes of that approach. And so we're really wanting to flip it on its head. And Elevate Watauga is, we dream big, and we believe it's possible to do something like that in our county.
Very well said. And again, a program that the Boone Area Chamber of Commerce supports very well. We'll continue to do so the more that we can do to help people get established on the right foot as they are born and become members of our community. The better off we hope that things are down the road when they become the employable folks that you're looking for to help with your businesses and help contribute to our community in that way too. So it's a long-term play, but it's got some real benefits to it along the way as well. Well, we certainly appreciate both of you for spending some time with us and explaining these programs. Tasha, the work that you and your team do in helping families is certainly invaluable to members of our community, and something that sets us apart again too. So I thank you both for plowing through this last year and not letting the pandemic stop you in advancing these programs and knowing that they're looked upon even more so now at a time where we're really trying to help people with the challenges in a challenging time. So thanks to both of you for your time and for everything that you're doing to keep Boone healthy. And we look forward to connecting with you again soon.
Awesome. Thanks, David.
Yeah, thank you, David.